Welcome back, guys. In this video we're gonna talk about 4 absolutely amazing books, 4 life-changing books that will help you transform your identity, your self-image, your life, and help you manifest the things that you want in your life. Those 4 amazing books have had a massive impact on my life, and this is actually a question that I get asked all the time, like, what are the books that you recommend reading on changing your identity, on changing your self-image? Because as you've noticed, if you are not new on this channel, this is something I talk about often. It's something I talk about often in my videos and with my clients, and it's the core of changing, making big radical changes in your life. And so I hope that those 4 books will have a massive impact on your life and bring you exactly what you want in your life. So let's go and let's get started with book number 1. And the first book on this list is Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maltz, and this is one of my all-time favorite books, like a Bible. This book has been a godsend book to me way back in 2018 when I was struggling personally, professionally, when I was in a very tough place in my life in so many aspects, when I was ready to give up on my business, when I was ready to just give up on so many things. This book came into my life. Okay, it's one of those books that just finds you and that just shifts everything, answers your question, and take you where you want to be. And this book opened up my awareness on the power of the identity, the power of the self-image, as Dr. Maxwell Maltz used. He used the word self-image. And it's such a profound, simple, practical book that has a lot of exercises, that is very clear, that gives you not only the knowledge and the concept, but also shows you what you can do to make those changes in your life. So it is a perfect, amazing way to get started on where to change your reality. And what I love about this book is that in his own experience, you see, Dr. Maltz was not like a psychologist or anything like that. He was a plastic surgeon, and he was doing a lot of surgery on people, right? And just fixing them up, making big boobs, all these kind of things. And he just didn't understand why was it that some people would respond so positively and change their personality and become confident and self-loving and really undergo that drastic change in positive personality, and other people with equally the same positive results would still be anxious, still be worried, still see the flaw, still have the self-loathing and the lack of confidence and so on. And so he started to look deeper, and he started to understand that there is that inner self-image and those inner emotional and mental scars that we have that also needs to be cleared up first if we want to be able to make massive radical changes in our life. And so when he started to educate his clients with that self-image psychology that he calls, it started completely having a massive effect on his practice, because many of his clients no longer needed the surgery, the physical surgery, and decided to simply go along, do those changes mentally and emotionally, and were fine with it. So massive book, guys. I highly recommend it. It's worth the read. So that's for book number 1. Now let's go straight into book number 2. And book number 2, guys, is Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard, right? And this book was a slap in my face. In 2019, early 2019, I remember when I was reading that book, it is in many ways very similar to psycho-cybernetics, but it is more of a metaphysical, spiritual approach on what Neville Goddard called the self-concept. And it is written in such a powerful, beautiful, simple way that when I was reading that book, I had this crazy feeling, like, when you read something that is so intense and you really feel the message in your heart, you really feel the truth, you really feel like this is something really deep, and I was so immersed in it. So it was one of those books that completely awakened that spiritual aspect in my life way back in 2019. And it completely changed the trajectory of my life in many, many ways. And this is one of the first books I read from Neville Goddard. Now, what I like about this book as well is that it's also very simple. Even though it is, spiritual and metaphysical in many ways, it also offers many practical tools and technique that you can use to change that self-concept. Both books talk a lot about the power of the imagination, right? Visualizing what you want to be, how you want to be, and really using your imagination in a positive, constructive way to influence the subconscious mind and create that new identity. But there's also monitoring your self-talk, changing those old thoughts, and really, if you apply those little things, it will have radical changes in your life. So Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard is one of those books that can really open up so many things in your life. Highly recommended. This is for book number 2. Let's go into the third book. And this third book is Are The Placeo by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And this is a different type of book. This is more of a science-based, research-based, explaining the science behind, the psychology behind the self-concept, behind, how the mind creates our reality. And I think it balances out the two first books, because sometimes, even though you read those books and you use them, there's always that doubtful part of your mind, that analytical mind, that voice in your mind that can be like, well, all of these concepts are good, all of this woo-woo stuff is good, but what am I really gonna do about my life, kind of thing, right? And what I really like about You Are The Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza is that it shows you in simple, clear way how science is catching up. Not only is catching up, but is demonstrating amazing things on the power of the mind and how your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs are literally creating, shaping your reality. And this book has an approach directly to health. So especially if you're struggling with health or mental and emotional things that you need to heal, so to speak, I strongly invite you to read that book, because it shows the studies, the peer reviews process and studies and research that have been done that leave no doubt in your mind that this is real, that this works, and that this has been proven over and over and over and over again, not by simply one studies, but many, many times. Also, what I like in this book is all the success stories that comes from research. So it can give you a lot of confidence, it can give you a lot of trust, and it can also give you another way of approaching, shifting your identity, transforming your mindset, and transforming your life. So if you need something a little bit more intellectual, analytical, with science and proof and studies and data, and you like this, this is a phenomenal resource. But the most part that is, even though it's on the science part of things, it's still very simple, it's still very approachable and very easy to read, and still very practical. And that's what I like about Dr. Joe Dispenza. And finally, guys, we go into book number 4. And this is a book that, in my opinion, is highly underrated and most often flies under the radar. I've actually don't know many people who know this book. And this book is How to Raise Your Salary by Napoleon Hill. And I think it is only available right now on Audible. That's how I've listened to it. I don't know if it is on print or Kindle. I didn't do the research. I know it's on Audible because that's how I've been listening to it. And this book is actually, it's phenomenal. If you are looking to creating a successful, worthy, confident, leadership, prosperous, abundant self-image or identity, to create that kind of success in your life, this is the book that will break down not only how to change your self-image, how to create that successful personality, as it calls in the book, but it will educate you on all the things that you need to know, the tools for relationship, for your thoughts, for leadership, for communications, for all those different aspects of life that can create a well-rounded identity. And so actually, I truly believe that this book is way better, more detailed than Think and Grow Rich. And it is actually the original interview that Napoleon Hill did with Dale Carnegie way before he started working on Think and Grow Rich. And so it is pretty much a transcript of that interview. And you just realize, listening or reading that transcript and the knowledge, the wisdom of Dale Carnegie, of how much of a grasp, how much of an understanding he had over human psychology and those universal laws like the law of assumption and all those things. Although he uses different terms, but it explains very simply the power of thoughts, the power of visualization, the power of attracting, repelling, and changing things and attracting things. And he breaks that down very well. And he also shows you how you can create a successful personality in order to achieve your goal, in order to create more abundance, more success, just like he did, growing up, starting from nothing and becoming the richest man in the world, completely transforming the world, the steel industry back then, and having a massive impact and a massive fortune in his life. And so I like this book because it shows you how that one extremely successful person created his empire, and you can simply learn from that and take many of those elements and install those knowledge, those aspects, those beliefs, using those universal laws and applying them on you. So it is another way of shifting your self-image through modeling, through learning from somebody who was super successful in applying those laws and making it work in his life. And so I highly recommend those books and every single one of those books, guys. So that's it. This is for those 4 books that are life-changing, that will help you transform your identity, create, achieve even the most unbelievable things in your life. If you really put your mind to it, if you put efforts into it, if you study it, apply it over and over and over again, it will change your life. Let me know what you think down in the comment. Let me know if there's some books that you recommend other people reading on how to change your identity, change your self-image. Write them down in the comments. I will see you next time, guys. Be well.